I say that now, but for many years I didn't believe that I was a great writer. I just felt like I wrote. I'm not a technical writer. I'm not James Baldwin. I'm not all the other things. Compare, see how you compare yourselves? And people would say, oh my God, this is amazing. I mean, when I was a kid, when I say kid, a teenager, I used to write poetry for people, to get with their boyfriend or their girlfriends. And I really used to be in that poetry scene, but some of my poems people didn't like, and I just got nervous and scared, and I stopped writing. And but I've been published in newspapers across the world, and I have my own blog, and I've written for several entities throughout my career. I've done copywriting for companies and all these different things. Well, here's the thing. Mahogany was a dream. So back to the story. Hallmark has a division called Mahogany. So one of my dreams was I would love to write for greeting cards. Maybe I should just start my own greeting card line. That might be the best thing to do. I wanted to write for a greeting card line, and I love Mahogany. Their greeting cards, their all the things, all their notches and all the things. And so they have a blog. This blog, you have 4 times a year where you can enter you can write something between 400 and 600 words, and you can enter the blog. And I just thought, oh my God, this will be a dream, because then I will be connected to Hallmark in one way or another. And it just was one of those things I wanted to accomplish in my life. Well, fine, I've submitted for several years, and I didn't get chosen. So this final time, I wrote one of my love stories. It's a self-love story, but it involves a man that I used to date. And it's a beautiful story, and I should probably turn it into a movie, but it's a beautiful story. I wrote the story. I gave my whole heart because I call myself an emotional writer. I write with lots of feeling, lots of emotion, and I'm my writing style is very conversational. It's not formal. I can be formal, but it's not formal. It's not fancy. It's not academic. And so anyway, I submitted it. I got an email back a couple of weeks later. Now here's the deal. I knew they weren't getting submissions because they have never before sent an email out telling people to submit in the next couple of days, right? So, and in the midst of all that, some other stuff was going on. So I don't know if it's the DEI thing. I don't know if Hallmark is getting rid of Mahogany or the restructuring, but there were some other things that were kind of iffy for me. Anyway, I submitted it. I got confirmation that it was submitted by the lady who sent the email, and I just didn't even think about it. Then I woke up one morning, checked my email, and there was a email saying, "Thank you for your submission. Um, there were so many entries, and we just had so many choices, but please, don't feel bad about it, and don't feel, like you're not great, and just like all of this fake empowerment stuff, right? I'm gonna prop you up and let you know to just try and try again." So that morning, it didn't hit me, right? So my trigger, I said, "Hey," I sent an email back because first of all, I knew she was young, and probably deals with younger people. I'm grown, so I don't need you to, smooth this out. It was just, it is what it is. But I felt a little bit insulted by the like let him down easy type of vibe, and it just hit me the wrong way. So clearly it hit a trigger. But at this trigger, I was like, "Hey girl, thank you. Listen, in all of my 50 plus years, I have lost more than a blog entry." I said, in fact, my podcast is doing quite well. We ranked 2 years in a row number one in women's in empowerment for Black women on Good Pods, right? Second year in a row. Not only that, we rank eighth in another category. I don't remember what it is. So the podcast is, people are liking it, and the ranking goes by the numbers. So I put that in there as well. And I also let them know that this would be my last submission because, hey, clearly this isn't the space for me. I've tried year after year, and each year you all say no. So this isn't for all Black women. You all are specific in who you want, and that's absolutely fine. Now, I wasn't rude, but I was persnippety. But clearly, I was listening with my triggers. So I had to go back and say, why did that upset me? Like, really, why did it upset me? I think it was more of, I felt like she was being condescending, not uplifting. And I knew she had to be a young girl just in her conversation, because an adult woman, I'm sure she was an adult, but the Gen X woman would not have responded like that. It would have just simply been like, hey, we had a lot of submissions. Your entry was great. But please try again. We look forward to hearing more submissions from you. Have a great day. Goodbye. But this was like a couple of paragraphs. I was like, girl, I don't need therapy from you. I'm fine. But it was just a bit condescending. And that's what triggered me, is I don't like when people talk down to me. Because throughout my life, I've had many people talk down to me for various reasons. Not just because I'm Black, not just because I'm a woman, but because I'm fat, because I don't have a college degree, because I didn't work in corporate America, because I didn't belong to these fancy organizations a lot of Black women belong to. People have looked down on me. And so therefore, I've spent most of my life trying to prove myself. And it wasn't until the last few years, in all of my years, I said, I'm done. I'm done spending time proving myself. But when this came up, I said, well, guess you're not done. I guess you got a little more to examine. But once I had that moment and I came to the realization, I said, you know what, Monica? You have your own platform. You don't need Hallmark or Mahogany. You have Black Women Amplified. And Black Women Amplified was not inspired by Mahogany. It was inspired by a conversation that happened on CNN, and by the fact that I watched Hidden Figures, and by the fact that my cousin Alice Wyndham, who I talk about often, passed away without writing down her story or telling her story or writing her book. And I just wanted a place where people could tell their stories. And so when I recognized what it was, I was able to get to the core of it, reframe the conversation in my head, and come to the realization like, damn, girl, you out here doing it. And I say the same thing to you, because oftentimes we get caught up in what we think is happening in the world, what we think is happening to us. Here's the thing. This week, and it was it's not funny, but it was funny because Black folk are so unserious. So last week, or the week before last, before all the mess is happening now, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute, the people in the White House they wrote an executive order that got rid of the protections surrounding segregation, right? So now you can have white-only federal contracts. Let me say something. A lot of white people don't want to just be around white people. That's just the truth. They love, y'all know what it is. But people like to be around there are people who like to be around lots of different people. Let me just say that. But the kids got on the TikTok and the Instagram, and they were cracking jokes. It's like, oh, so you just want us to be over here. So what's coming with us is hip hop, seasonings, line dances, country music, rock. I mean, it was funny, but it's not funny, but it was funny. But coming to the realization that something has shifted since the election, since November the 5th, something has shifted because we are in this society that keeps trying to trigger us because they want us to hit the streets for some reason. They must have plans for us to hit the streets, and it's not happening. They're talking about segregation, they're getting rid of contracts, they're doing all of these things, but nobody's showing up to anything. And I think they've got their little plants amongst the black community that's like, get them aggravated. And then pops out with Love Megan. So everybody's sitting up making one pot pasta and lemon cakes with raspberries. And pulling out their good china and saying, the kids are going to eat on the veranda with the good china with their Happy Meal. There's something that has shifted in Black America that is astounding to me. I've never seen it, but it has been everything I have preached for the last 15 years. That we need to see the magnificence of ourselves. Let me say that again, that we need to see the magnificence of ourselves. And when we see the magnificence of ourselves, nothing can stop us. What's that song? Nothing can stop us. I'm on my way up. Am I singing DJ Khaled? Oh, no. Anyway. But nothing can stop us. When you look in the mirror and you see your magnificence, and this is not all the time, but the glimpses get bigger and longer, right? The glimpses get bigger and longer. And here's the thing about Black women, Black people, we have to have community. Somebody sent me a picture of everybody doing the fan dance. And he said, the comment was, well, how come we can't get out there and march, but we can do this? And I said, we've been marching. And now we're doing this. There's something powerful that happens to our DNA when we connect in community. And when we are on one accord, there's something powerful that happens. And November 5th, when those results came in the 6th and the 7th, there was a resounding seismic shift within Black America. Black women specifically were vocal about it. I'm sure men felt the same way, but we stepped back. We said, go for it. We even named ourselves the 92%. We were like, go for it. You don't need us? Okay. That's fine. But guess what we're not going to do? We're not going to save you anymore. Something shifted our trigger when it comes to those type of things. Like, for instance, the conversation about segregation. Everybody was like, okay. So what Black-owned restaurant we going to? What Black-owned business are we supporting this week? And here's the thing, and I've been saying this for a long time as well. There's going to be a time, and this is that moment that I've been talking about. I don't know where that accent come from. I think because I've been watching too much proper television, and suddenly I have an accent. But there has to come a time when people who don't look like us draw a line in the sand and they choose, do I want a world to live in a world of inclusion or exclusion? Do I want to live in a world that is just like me, homogenized, or do I want all of the colors of the rainbow? And that moment for them is now. I was talking to my family. I said, listen, they're having a reckoning that we can't do anything about. There's nothing we can do about it because it's not our world. It's not we've had our reckoning. We had our reckoning in the 60s. We've had our reckoning for the last 400 years. And now we're picking and choosing to rest. And that rest doesn't mean that we've tuned out. We're all paying attention. The rest is that we are not reacting. Because the one thing that we have learned over the last few years is they are fueled by our reactions. And so our reactions have been, they were limited before, but now it's not there. And so we get out that energy by line dancing. We get out that energy by cooking and being creative and reading books. I've read 4 books in the last 2 weeks. I haven't read that much in my life that quickly. And they're books that I'm getting ready for interviews, but I just downloaded a couple other books. And I need to renew my library card. But I'm just consuming words. And I think that my mind and my body is getting ready to write something powerful. And so I'm just consuming words right now. I've been reading my Bible. I've been meditating. I've been doing all the things to nourish myself. And I've been writing programs, for my academy. And Reframe is just a beautiful piece of work. I've done it before in different ways, and I'm just taking things that I've done before and recalibrating them, because I really do want to help other people feel joy and elation in their lives and feel peaceful and feel nurtured and feel loved within themselves. Because the true strength is already within us. We don't need anybody on the outside to tell us who we are, what we're about, and what is for us. But we have always chosen proximity over power. And then we get a little feelings hurt every time. But this time our feelings weren't hurt, because we've been very disappointed by vote after vote after vote after election after election after election. But this time we said telepathically, we're done. Nobody had a conversation. Nobody put out a tweet or an email or anything. Everybody said it. And I'm telling you what, I spend time on social media because it's part of what I do. People come at us. People come at Black women from all across the globe. If it's not the British people telling us we don't know where we came from, it's racist people, it's white supremacists, it's other women, just all different directions. But for some reason, something has shifted, and I love it. So I think that we are starting to listen with our ears and not our triggers, and that we are beginning to open up to our multi-dimensions and exploring ourselves in whole new ways. Whether it's with going to buy yourself flowers. I see so many women online now going to buy themselves flowers. That's a beautiful thing, to treat yourself, to stop waiting on other people to buy yourself. And everybody does retail therapy, but I'm talking about the little subtle things, like a brand new candle, fresh flowers, cooking yourself a beautiful meal and eating on your good china as opposed to something quick and easy. So those are the self-love things, the self-healing things, and the self-nurturing things that people are doing now. And I think it's absolutely beautiful. But when I heard that meme, that unhealed people listen with their ears, don't listen, I'm sorry, let me say this again, that unhealed people don't listen with their ears, they listen with their triggers. I had to have this conversation, because I know that this society is setting us up to continuously be triggered, because I know they have studied us. They haven't studied the things that benefit us. They have studied the things that benefit them. They don't study women's bodies. They don't study our illnesses and ailments. They don't study the ways in which that we learn as Black people. We have to do that on our own. But they do study the psychology of us and how they can trigger us. It's in the marketing. It's in everywhere. You remember a couple years ago, and I'm going to say this and then I'll be out, when every company made a racist mistake, right? And then all of a sudden they get all of us triggering, like, how could you do that? Let's look at Shea Moisture. Let's look at Dolce & Gabbana, all these different companies, Gucci. All of these different companies were like, oh no, we didn't know. You know, that is just your marketing plan. Make them mad, and they will flood social media, and then guess what they get? 1 billion impressions of free advertising. They're still making money off of us from free labor. But we see it now because we're listening not only with our ears, we're listening with our hearts, and we're asking ourselves different questions. Important questions, but different questions. So I wanted to share that with you. This is our weekly chat. I will be with you next week. I don't know what we're going to talk about yet, but I have been really excited about watching and observing the shift that is happening. And I think even in this time of whatever this is, this alternate reality, we still have an opportunity to thrive. And it's challenging. It is challenging. But when you know what we know, and we have ancestors and angels around us to guide us, and we have prayers, and we have community, and we have family, we're going to be okay. Ladies and the men who love us, thank you for joining this week's episode of Black Women Amplified. I hope that you enjoyed the episode. Please, if you feel compelled, go to Apple and leave a review and let the world know what you think about Black Women Amplified. And also head on over to our newly revamped website. You know, I'm always working on the website. I've simplified it, but we have a shop up, and I put out a brand new t-shirt that I absolutely love. It came to me in a dream, and it simply says, Black women make the world beautiful. So if you go to blackwomenamplified.com, you can get your version of the t-shirt. There's a couple of different versions. And I'm going to put out new designs probably a couple of times a week. Just because we need a declaration to walk around with. That's just for us. That's just for us. Anyway, have a great weekend. And don't forget to check out the blog while you're over on the website. I've put out some really incredible pieces because I am a great writer. I am a great writer. I'm declaring it. Anyway, sending you all love and peace and generosity. And I thank you again for rocking with Black Women Amplified. Don't forget to text this episode to a friend who needs it. And keep us in your prayers, and I'll keep you in mind. Have an amazing day.